What is very unusual about our system in the U.S. is the ability for the small guy to get a lawyer and have an actual chance of some recovery.
I mean, that's what makes our system work. If you don't have access to the courts, you cannot access justice, and therefore injustice can proliferate.
So I think, Mr. Jackson's situation is a great example of the average everyday person being taken advantage of.
I met Mr. Jackson in 2016. A friend of his contacted me by email about this water filtration system that they purchased.
So there was a friend of mine that had purchased a system from Home Depot, and I got suckered in.
They scared the living daylights out of him about, how filthy his water was. But they sold him this $9,000 system and told him that, he can get his for free if he just referred, I think it was 6 people or so who bought a system. And so that's what he started working towards. But that kind of arrangement is illegal here in North Carolina.
And so I get this letter from Citibank saying that they had bought the loan, but they could not honor that particular contract. And so I'd only had it a year, and so I was supposed to get 2 years of no interest. And so Citibank said, well, Mr. Jackson, what we're gonna have to do is collect the money back from the first year because that contract you signed with Home Depot is invalid. And I said, no way. And they sued me. So they sued me for the money. And so once they sued me, so that's when I started searching for an attorney that had some experience with working with minorities and that was willing to stand up for the right.
I guess there's an identity of interest, right? Folks who look like you, who have a similar background tend to understand, right? We tend to get it.
And I was, fortunate enough to find Attorney Blossom.
We countersued them for fraudulently inducing him to purchase this system on those credit terms. And so a big fight erupted. That was 2016. We're in 2023 and we're still fighting. The initial lawsuit occurred in state court here in Mecklenburg County. Home Depot felt that they don't want to be in state court, and so they tried to get it removed to federal court, right? So they removed it to district court. We filed a motion to remand. We fought them at the district court level, prevailed. We fought them at the Fourth Circuit, prevailed, and ultimately at the Supreme Court and prevailed. And we're still fighting. I felt like we were toast. There was not a circuit split, so why would the court take it up if all the lower courts agree on how this should go? So I thought the Supreme Court granted cert in order to drop the hammer on folks like Mr. Jackson. There was no hope, as far as I was concerned, until Public Justice came in. And when I read their briefs, I knew we had a chance.
Public Justice, number one, realizes the impact that mass torts and class actions can have to address so many of the racial inequities that happen in this country.
We had Public Justice do the oral arguments. We're not Supreme Court litigators, none of us are.
What Public Justice does, it collaborates with prominent trial lawyers all throughout the nation to work with it on cases such as this and others to go after these sorts of injustices.
There's this general statute for removal, and then there's CAFA removal. And I think both of them say any defendant can remove. And the question was, can a third-party defendant remove? And Justice Thomas, Supreme Court said, and his colleagues, it was a 5-4 decision, said no, any defendant does not include counterclaim defendants or third-party defendants. It has to be the defendant to the original action.
I even felt good that Judge Thomas was the deciding vote. And, when people were reading that, especially, like black people, like when they were reading that, they were like, what? I still don't like him. No, I'm just kidding. He felt that the little guy should get a shake this time.
Minority attorneys tend to not have the same opportunities as, in the mass tort world as they do with, in most professions.
So that's kind of how Shades of Mass was born. And I wanted the judges and the law firms to understand that I was going to make a point of it in the cases. And I did. When I became the first Black woman to co-lead an MDL, that I was going to hold people to task and say, here they are. Here are some really great minds who are driven. So Shades of Mass was meant to really actually be a pressure point and say, stop saying you can't find us. I'm gonna find all the melanin people for you and I'm gonna put them in one place and they're gonna be super gifted.
Work that you're doing is seminal, it's critical, it's important, and I wholly support them.
What excites me is to build that capacity and honestly to sing the gospel about what it is to be a plaintiff's lawyer.
There's something to look forward to. The sun is shining, and I appreciate that.